Hi, I'm Sean. I make things, I break things, sometimes on purpose, and sometimes a cool guitar comes out. Okay, we got a problem right away. The knockout, the electrical got all mangled as I was trying to get it out. Sometimes the tabs are just, like the inside tabs were tougher than the ones on the outside. The outside ring got destroyed. Now it's all way too big for the fitting I was going to use. So I can fab something up to cover that fillet, but it's probably just as fast to go to the store and get a thing that does exactly what I need. So I'm going to keep working, get this wire run but not cut, and or not connected inside here. Get as far as I can before I need to go do that in case anything else comes up. So there we are. Current situation, the only openings on the ground, the neutral bus bars are almost halfway up, so unless they reorganize a bunch of things, I gotta come all the way around with my neutral. Leave it there. Give some of this back. The kind of screwdriver that's made for this square drive and standard size. Although, as I say that, this breaker has just flathead screws on it. Okay, so I have the exact right tool. Yay. Okay. Okay, back from the store. Got some terminals. Except for this heavy gauge of wire, to this little bitty size connector terminal, it's not common to find clip-on ends. They can be had. You can see the guys at MrCool had them to use here. Of course, if they had just got a proper terminal block to begin with, they wouldn't have to do that, and I wouldn't have to do this. To get these somewhat specialized connectors, I'd have to order or go to the proper supply store, but it's Easter Sunday. So we have these guys. Let me see now. We have these guys which I had to actually grind down to fit the width. Barely the right size, diameter. And of course, I don't have the right size crupper for this. We're going to make it work. Alright, that's on there. Screwdriver would be helpful. No. because everything out here is finally complete. Let's look over the problem we have here. There's a couple problems actually. First one is that the knockout for the high voltage entry got knocked out too wide. But I was only using that one because the one they want you to use at the other end of the unit is blocked by where the ductwork needs to go. That was going to be really tight to try to sneak it in here. Since I have to do something about this hole anyway, I was going to have to make something. If I got to start messing around modifying this cabinet anyway, why don't I make another hole back here behind this box that I think there's room, and then get the wires across. I want to see if I can't do that. The unit back where she goes. Magnet time. Thank you. The way they chose to retain this breaker on a flexible bit of sheet metal, it's meant to line up with some rails pretty precisely, and this whole thing is meant to flex out of the way. It doesn't want to get a lock. It's a very poor decision. Okay, while I'm over here, we need to do the condensate drain. I'm going to take the water out of here through a P-trap over and down into our pump, which carries the water outside. We're using that tube. Shouldn't be any big deal. What you not happy about? Over here. Here we go. Right where I left it, don't you know? Of course, they didn't leave room for a normal threaded fitting to fit in there. Unless maybe did I take this back off? There isn't room for a standard Schedule 40 threaded adapter. Of course, the instructions didn't say Schedule 40 3/4 threaded adapter, it just said 3/4 pipe. Didn't need nothing else. That drill bit just sucks. Alright, let's start. Well, that kind of sucked. Guess who gets to reorganize this whole toolbox when we're done? Alright, here's the whole trick to it. Let's see how how these quick disconnect deals work with these pre-charged lines. Okay, so here's our DIY friendly kit. I had to go get me an 1.25 inch wrench. Didn't have one. That's what this takes. Oh, and then the fitting is even bigger than that. This is the biggest it's carried in most stores. I should say the manual says something about the wrench sizes needed, but that page of my manual was in French. I also got a complete French manual. That page is also in French. That cap is 7/8. This cap, 1/4. Comes sleeve with a little copper stopper. Does the job, but now that's done. The Novak line set comes with these adapters. One side connects to the standard flare. The other looks like it does nothing. But it's not about it. Focus. Disc is going to get pushed out of the way as our Novak line comes in. Seals on this outside edge. As it's pushed in, pushes that open. It should make a seal before it's broken open. This is a metal to metal flare type seal. Does not need any extra sealant. Quarter almost works there. I might have a socket, maybe a torque wrench on that. I don't have any crow's foot torque things. So it's about yay Newton meters. Now this is a tight fit. It's got to be under square, and it kind of has to get moving before the threads even engage. Trouble with the outside one. That seems to be going. $52.5 Newton meters exactly. Here, connect to the flare. And then connect the You may notice I put a wrench on the static part of the line while I turn the fitting. Keeps us from putting a twist in that copper line. At this point, everything is connected. Control cables from the thermostat out to the other unit, high voltage power into the breaker, send and return refrigerant lines, condensate drain, air coming in. One last thing, air going out. That ductwork needs to be adapted. But I'd kind of like to see the unit run and see what I get before I start messing with that. Okay. Time to open the valves. hear a slight hiss. We're going to open that up all the way. So this is that. This was 5mm. 8 is likely the next. Okay. Quick check for leaks. No big bubbles right away. Okay. Alright, I heard lots of flow. It stopped. We're going to open that up. If it's leaking more, I can't hear because of the carpenter bee buzzing around. Got a nice little gurgle. Cap on there later. I'll have even less room to work. I have to get out my list of what colors I use for what, and what the outside unit gets. It needs 4 of those. No, yeah, 4 of what are connected into this bus, and 1 that's not. Okay, I think I'm done again. I think that's cold air. There it is. Which brings us to the big questions. Is this really a DIY-friendly job? And then is it worth the money that was saved? Well, on the DIY side, we're looking at issues of scope and scale. The scope is big because every possible trade you can think of is going to be involved. We've got low voltage wiring, high voltage wiring. We're probably fishing wires through walls. There's plumbing, sheet metal work, insulation to do. We're probably going to be making a hole in a wall, a pretty big one. And then on the scale side, units big enough to heat and cool a whole suburban home are just going to be kind of big, especially if you want to work by yourself. I probably should have got help. And the MrCool units in particular are just kind of tall. It's just part of their design philosophy. We saw the issues I had with that. And in general, just requiring some bigger tools than what most people have sitting around. Stuff you can get ready for, but I had to wing it a little bit. The issues I had with the MrCool unit in particular really start with the documentation. Here's that page I said came up in French. That was a bit concerning, although I sort of figured out what I needed to know. My big gripe was with the electrical. There's, in the manual, completely cartoonish versions of how to bend a loop into a solid wire or crimp a fitting onto a braided wire. They don't tell you what size anything is. Well, I can tell you there's absolutely no way that a solid wire of the appropriate size can be bent into a loop and fit around the provided terminal. And then as we saw, the crimp-on fittings in that size range aren't exactly sitting on the shelf at your local corner store. And then the pre-charged line sets, another part of the system. I think they're great. They're well finished. They look good. They were easy to work with. Only catch, of course, is that they're kind of pricey. They only come in so many sizes. And now forever and ever and ever, I have these beautiful white tubes running all over my basement. So how does the unit perform? Turns out the hottest day so far this year was the day of install. It got to 84 Fahrenheit. As you can see, the lower chart is the temperature inside in one of the bedrooms. Did pretty well so far. We'll find out more when the really hot and the really cold days come later on. Stay tuned for something on that. And then what did it cost? We're going to compare it to an old quote I had on a system I put in about 10 years ago to a different house. There was a rebate assigned. Grand total for everything, similar system, wiring, ductwork, all that, $9,245. We can adjust that for inflation some, and we will. This new system, ordered direct from Home Depot, there's our total, a little over $5,000. And then, of course, we already saw some of the extras that came along with it. There was the line set. I had to buy big wire and thermostat wire, pushing almost $6,000 for the whole system, which was about $6,500 less than the old system. Was it worth it? 3 long days, time for prep and cleanup. My shop's still a mess. I still have to repair the wall. Yeah, I think I did okay.